12 countries have agreed to supply Ukraine with around 100 Leopard 2 tanks if the German government gives its consent, according to a senior Ukrainian official who spoke exclusively to ABC News. Those agreements, the source said, were made at Friday's summit at Ramstein U.S. Air Force Base in Germany when allied nations discussed military support for Ukraine. Countries such as Poland and Finland have already indicated publicly that they are willing to provide a number of their Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine. The Leopard 2A6 main battle tanks promised by the Federal Republic of Germany were loaded yesterday morning in Bergen and arrived in the Ukraine in the evening, together with the crews trained in Munster. As reported by the BMVG, the train transport included not only the 18 main battle tanks, but also 2 Buffalo armored recovery vehicles, as well as the ammunition and spare parts package. The 40 Marder infantry fighting vehicles that the German government had promised Ukraine in January have also arrived in Ukraine. Germany has thus fulfilled the promise made to equip and train armored units for the Ukraine, writes the BMVG. Defense Minister Pistorius said, "As promised, our tanks arrived on time in the hands of our Ukrainian friends. I am sure that they can do something important at the front. Together with Sweden and Portugal, we have pledged a battle group. To redeem this, Germany even delivered 4 more tanks than initially planned. You can rely on us." The next step is the delivery of Leopard 1A5 main battle tanks. These combat vehicles from industrial stocks are currently being repaired in the industry. As far as is known, the holes in Flensburg and the towers in Munich will be cleaned and overhauled. After the work is completed, the tanks are brought together in Flensburg and shipped from there. Germany, Denmark, and the Netherlands have joined forces to finance the project. According to the BMVG, the aim is to have the first Leopard 1A5 available by summer. The plan is to increase the number to around 80 by the end of the year and to at least 100 Leopard 1A5. The delivery of German-made armored personnel carriers and main battle tanks to Ukraine has long been controversial. Chancellor Olaf Scholz only decided to allow Martins and later also Leopards to be handed over after consulting with U.S. President Joe Biden and his agreement to hand over Bradley infantry fighting vehicles and Abrams main battle tanks to the Ukraine. A tank alliance is formed for the Leopard 2, which intends to equip 2 Ukrainian tank battalions with the main battle tanks ESU reported. Under the leadership of Germany, a battalion is to be equipped with Leopard 2, A6, and A5. The tanks required for this come from Germany 18A6, Portugal 3A6, and Sweden 10A5. The 2nd Battalion, led by Poland, is to be equipped with Leopard 2A4S. Suppliers are Poland 14, Canada 8, Norway 8, and Spain 6. The first 14 main battle tanks and the trained crews have already been made available to Ukraine. Within just 2 months, Germany and Poland have provided the equipment for more than 2 tank companies of the Ukrainian army and the crews trained to fight back against Russian aggression. The others are to follow later this year. The Ukrainian official with knowledge of the matter said Spain, the Netherlands, and Denmark were also willing to provide some of their tanks. However, Germany's consent was still necessary for the coalition of countries to proceed on the matter. As the country where the military hardware is manufactured, Germany has to approve the export license if countries want to supply some of their tanks to a third nation, such as Ukraine. Are working to increase Ukraine's military capabilities ahead of a possible escalation in the fighting in the coming weeks or months. During a briefing last week, a Western diplomat called it the right moment to provide new capabilities such as tanks to Ukraine. Ukraine's allies have the ability to increase the quantity and quality of Ukraine's military capabilities in a way that Russia simply doesn't, the diplomat said. However, the senior Ukrainian official, who spoke with ABC News on condition of anonymity, said the German-made Leopard tanks were also urgently needed by Ukraine because its stocks of ammunition for its Soviet-era tanks are running out. Ukraine is unable to produce new ammunition for these Soviet-era tanks, the official said, so this forced us to find an alternative way. Earlier this month, the UK made a symbolic gesture by pledging to supply Ukraine with 14 of its Challenger 2 tanks. The move was an attempt by the UK government to convince Berlin to move on its Leopards. The senior Ukrainian official with knowledge of the matter told ABC News that it helped